Welcome our next speaker, Mr. Jabir Walji. He actually flew specially from Qatar to be with you today. So we'd like to welcome him and his presentation and thank him for that. So his presentation today about truth methodology of how to drive innovation. Mr. Walji actually, Mr. Jabir actually is a strategic inventor, foremost, and the former innovation manager for Ministry of Public Works in Qatar. He uses methodologies and algorithms to implement, to create innovative products, solutions, and services. And his concept is actually to implement these innovative methodologies to create disruptive cities, not just smart cities. So without further ado, I'll leave the floor to Mr. Jabir to tell us about the truth methodology for innovation.
Thank you very much. Can you guys hear me at the back? Yeah? Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. You can't hear? So, hello? So I need to put this up a little bit more. Is it there? Oops. Yeah, can you hear now?
No? Yeah?
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, good.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I think the session has been very exciting, especially for me, I think for other people as well. I've got less time at the moment, so I'm going to dive straight into it. I think a lot of questions that have been asked will be answered in this presentation. I think it'll raise a lot of questions as well at the same time, okay? So let's dig into it. What I'm going to focus on is structured innovation methodology, how important and crucial it is to the whole innovation process, right? And what I'm going to look at is, first thing is, how do you inspire innovation? Okay, it all starts with the mind, all right? That's why I wore this shirt, you know? It's the mind, right? You got to inspire, you got to fire the mind first, okay? That's where the passion comes from. And that's what drives the whole process. If you don't fire the mind, forget it, okay? Exactly. So, now you know the reason why I wore this one, right? Okay. Then you're going to go, I'm going to show the framework which I've used, which is mainly for the Innovation Center and how I've applied to UAE. The third part is how do you develop concepts? Okay, where do concepts come from? It's very easy to say that you think outside the box. Majority of the people do not know how, right? People do not know how to develop concepts. Perspective. When you change the perspective, then you get the new concepts coming in. So we're going to look at over here, how do you change perspective and how do you develop new concepts, right? And it's relatively easy and very powerful, okay? Then I'm going to look at, we talked about culture a lot over here, okay? I'm more interested, one of the concepts in this methodology is self-X, right? So how do you develop a self-sustaining innovation culture? Not just sustainable innovation culture, but self-sustaining, okay? So you don't require SLAs, service level agreements between departments. We'll talk about that. Then I'm going to talk about the role of software tools for idea management. When you bring it in, what is the role of that? Okay, which hence is, and then see the popularity of TRIZ across the world, how fast it is growing, what's happening. So you get a perspective and a big picture on that. And conclude. Right, these are the 6 elements that is required for an innovation center to be successful, which is leadership, team, methods, resource, partnership, impact. Now for me, from my perspective, UAE as a whole has become an innovation center, okay? You've got Russell Kema coming out with an education city, which is going to incorporate innovation in it. You've got Abu Dhabi with Masdar Institute with Accelerator over there. They've invested in graphene. They're setting up a fabrication lab in Abu Dhabi for entrepreneurs, and they've got Innovation Week, and there was something else as well, what Abu Dhabi is doing. Dubai, I mean, I think everybody knows. I mean, you got the Hyperloop partnership going on. You got the Future Foundation, 3D, Accelerator, Dubai Accelerator. So for me, it's like a whole center. So that's why this framework fits in there. So let's dig a little bit more into this framework. Okay, sorry. So the first element of this framework is leadership, which has been provided by Sheikh Khalifa and Sheikh Mohammed, and they're driving this innovation, so you have the leadership over there. The second is the teamwork, the team required. So we have 7 sectors, and I believe the teams are going to be formed for those sectors. You got, Dubai Future Accelerator, Dubai Future Foundation, 3D printing, Dubai Hyperloop, etc., and more teams will be developed. So that is already in the pipeline, that process, okay? I'm going to come, the next is resources. Dr. Ahmed mentioned about the 1%, which is being used, all right? Future Accelerator is already, committed to 1 billion dirhams. Then you have 14 billion has been spent on R&D, and 7 billion of that goes into R&D, and innovation spending will rise significantly in the years to come. That's been said. So the resources are there, the leadership is there. Then we have partnership, right? You got the Hyperloop partnership coming over here. You got 19 specialized partnership to develop education system. Partnership with Stanford University to look at the methodology for entrepreneurship and innovation as well as design thinking. And then further partnership will come as well. Now, the final thing is the impact. You will see the impact of these 6 elements in about 1 or 2 years' time. But however, the government has already come with 16 KPIs for government, for private sector, and global. On the global, you have benchmark, as you talked about this, where UAE is on that thing, how many patents they're going to come up with, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what I want to focus on is the methodology, innovation methodology. The third most important element in this framework is innovation methodology. After leadership and team. It's not resource, it's not partnership, it's methodology, okay? So it plays a crucial part. So I'm going to focus over here on TRIZ and systematic innovation, how they've been, can help this whole process. So basically you can say this is the whole innovation process. Obviously inside you have sub-processes of that element and all that kind of stuff. But this is at a very high level, this is the third important part of the process. Analysis of 3 million patents to date with best practices from all fields of human endeavor, that is creative mind, patent, science, and has given you a breakthrough database which is called TRIZ and systematic innovation. What this database, TRIZ and systematic innovation, has said that all innovation come out from 40 principles, which has come out from the analysis of 3 million patents. If I filter this, these are the 40 innovation principles. The gentleman, my colleague, mentioned over here about inversion. Who was that? He used the word inversion. That is principle number 13, which is the other way around. The same word, but the language is different. Okay? If I filter this more, it gives me 6 pillars of innovation. All right? Ideality, functionality, contradiction, resource, time, space, and emergence. So this is 3 million patents, 40 inventive principles, 6 pillars of innovation. All right? So that is the funnel. Systematic innovation base is TRIZ, which is a Soviet methodology which started in 1946. Now, how systematic innovation came up is they've used the TRIZ as the base, and on top of that, they brought in the Western methodology, which is mentioned over there, TOC, quality function deployment, Six Sigma, NLP, and all that. Now, what that has given us is new 21st century tools like perception mapping, creativity measurements for individual, and they're working on creativity measurements of the nations. 8 levels of thinking for management and leadership, new pillars of innovation, and some other ones. I can't remember at the moment. So this is what is that. So that the whole thing is called systematic innovation now. Okay? I'll be using the terms interchangeable, TRIZ, systematic innovation, but that's the whole thing. Now, this is one of the tools, or the space and time. Let's use this, how to change perspective, and from that perspective we come up with a concept. This tool, 9 windows, is used to give you a big picture, right, and how each elements are linked with each other. So if you see If I plant the seed, it becomes a young plant, becomes a tree, becomes a wood, and then you can use it. Same here. At the subsystem level, you got the flower, becomes a fruit, coconut drink. At the top level, terrain becomes a forest, becomes a coal and an oil, and then we use that. And you can see the link. So you use to look at the big picture, how it is.
Same as circular economy?
No, circular economy is a separate concept. All right, this is a 9-window framework. Now, one of the key things over here, this is a non-technical evolution trend, is one of the trends of many non-technical that have been identified. So you have data, when you analyze, becomes information. Information understood becomes knowledge. Now, knowledge, we all talk about knowledge. Knowledge applied to context is wisdom. Okay? How? Let's see. Everybody knows tomato is a fruit, correct? But we eat it in the context of a salad. So that's wisdom. Okay? We all talk about knowledge economy. I personally think we have to move into the wisdom mode, where you take the knowledge and you apply to the context. That is not happening. All right? Now, let's take an example. So wisdom is equal to knowledge times context. Okay? Let's take this example of a traffic. You develop a traffic concept here very quickly. So if I take that 9-window framework and apply it to a family, all right? That is me, because I'm in the present. That's my sons and daughter, because they are the future. These are my parents, their grandfather, they are the subsystem. Now what happens is, when I have an accident and I die, the subsystem takes care of the supersystem. It's pretty hard for them, and that is exactly what is happening in Africa. Because of the diseases like HIV and AIDS, the system level is totally disappeared. So the grandparents are looking after that. So can you see how it helps you think and see the whole big picture? And it'll take another generation for Africa to come up because of this devastation by disease, taking out this whole big thing. So now, in UK, I know when there's a fatality in the road, it costs UK government £1 million. To bring the ambulance there, the police there, traffic jams, cost, the wages, blah, blah, blah. If you take the whole costing into account. Somebody told me in Abu Dhabi that when an Emirati passes away in an accident, it costs the UAE government 360 million dirhams to look after the whole family the lifetime. The number may not be correct, I can't remember, but when he told me that number, I said, wow, seriously? He goes, yeah. So it was a huge number. Okay? So now, if the government rewards me, let's say 20,000 dirhams a year for not having an accident and all that, okay? Then what I do is I take my kids away for a holiday and all that. Then what happens is my kids will say, Dad, don't have an accident next year. We want the 20,000 so we can go to Paris. So what I'm doing, I'm using the family, that's another pillar. I'm using the family resource to change my behavior. I'm not using penalty, I'm using family resource to change my behavior, my traffic behavior. Okay? So I'm just showing how the tools help you change perspective and come up with concepts. Now, let's take the context. UAE is an affluent country, alhamdulillah. Emirati citizen is 1.4 million. Let's say half of this people drive the car, 700,000, maybe less. So it is doable for that small group of people, right? Then we can enrich the concept by saying, okay, if you don't have accident, if you don't have that, so your registration of the car is free, you have a special line, it's a fast track, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Now, who causes the accidents? Look at the age group, 21 to 29, 37%, 30 to 39, 34%. Cost $3 billion, 2 killed every year, right? Which generation is this? It's a PlayStation generation. Gamification. Right? Reward. There's two ways you can change a human being's reward. One is pain, and one is gain. The whole traffic system is based on penalty. The other side of the coin is rewards. Where is that? So you see the opportunities coming up here? Not only that, let's say we bring in the reward system. You develop the algorithms for that thing, for gamification. Okay, what happens then? You patent that, right? You patent that, then you put in gamification in traffic over here, which nobody's done in the world, right? You get the experience. People say, wow, okay, Mr. UAE, can you come and help us? You get consultancy fee, you get royalties from patenting your gamification. Not only that, I think I may be correct. If I'm wrong, I do apologize, that you're saving people's life. You're getting from God. I think one of the key things in our religion is that if you save somebody's life, you get reward. I don't know what it is. So you're fulfilling your normal business goals and your religious goal. There's no conflict. So what is sports? Sport is a game. They've used gamification to make it a business. Right? Do it the other way around. Traffic is serious business, my friend. It's no joke. Gamify it. What principles have I used? Other way around. Inversion. Okay? Somebody somewhere in the world has solved your problem. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. What is F1? It's gamification, point systems. What is sports? Championship leagues, points, all that is gamification. But they've used gamification to turn into business. Why don't we use the same principles, for traffic? Let's look at another tool which is called Ideality, how you change perspective, and from that you come up with concepts. Now what innovation says, or TRIZ, or systematic innovation, so you don't start here. As the last speaker mentioned, you go into the future and you define what is your ideality or the ideal final result. Let's take the example of cleaning clothes. One of the key important factors, principle is self-X. Will become clear. The ideal is that the clothes clean themselves or do not get dirty, right? Can I achieve this at the moment? Yes or no? No, I can't. Okay, so what's my sub-ideal? My sub-ideal is to have clothes cleaned without external agent like powder or water. This is a Sanyo washing machine that uses no soap powder. This is air wash. Can I have this at the moment? Yes or no? No. Can I have a reusable washing powder? Yes or no? No. So like that you come back. So this, from here when you go here is forecasting. From here you come, it's called backcasting. So that gives you the direction where you want the innovation to happen, to achieve ideality in the future. Now what happens is function is, and the functionality is another pillar. People buy function, solution changes. Solution, 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 solution. Function is the same. Right? The key is function, not solution. Solution changes over time. Let's apply over here. Now one of the things in innovation is when we innovate something, we said, okay, what is next? Then we say, what is next? We're all talking about smart city. Okay, we've done smart city. What is next? Super smart city. Okay, what is next? Super duper smart city. Okay, what is next? Ideality. Ideal city, right? Let's take the context into account now. UAE wants to get out of hydrocarbon. Okay, so what is it looking for? It's looking for foreign direct investments. Who brings in foreign direct investment? Businesses. What are businesses looking for? Cheaper, better, faster services, right? Or eventually free, perfect now, which is Google. Okay, so that is the context. So what does that mean? I want a disruptive city. All right? Can I have a disruptive city at the moment? No, I can't. So what is my sub-disruptive city? Can I have that at the moment? No. So what is my sub-sub-disruptive city? No. What is my sub-sub-disruptive? Smart city is part of disruptive city. So now the challenge occurs in the question you ask, how can I make my road infrastructure disruptive? How can I make my public transport disruptive? How can I make my apartment disruptive? How can I make my medical service disruptive? How can I make my education disruptive? When you do that, you've got a whole disruptive city. If I've got a disruptive city, I want my business which is cheaper, better, faster, I'll come here. Bingo, khalas. Why should I go somewhere else? That's what the customer wants. So we got to define what is a disruptive city. Now, what I've done is I've used ideal final result as an opportunity identification and definition tool. So we are here coming up with smart city, then we come up with super smart somebody. This is what is needed. This is what the foreign direct investment people want. And if somebody comes up with a disruptive city, maybe they will. Most probably in Africa because it's still not developed. Then we're going to have real issues. The whole example of this clean clothes is here. The bigger picture, you got detergent, textile, and all that. These are the technologies that are coming up. Without dry cleaning, without detergent, without water, without machine. These are the unknowns. So what this tool does is helps you to bring the unknown into the known so you can come up with a sustainable strategy for your business. Until and unless you do not know the unknown, right? So let's look, contradiction is another tool in this toolbox, which is one of the key ones over there. Majority of the problems in the world, 80% are contradictions. All right, and you will become clarified what is a contradiction. Let's take the example of a bicycle seat. And an ideal bicycle seat is the bottom of a chair. All right? But if I have a bottom of a chair which is comfortable and supports my weight, I cannot pedal. All right? So that's the contradiction. Saddle must be wide to provide comfortable support. The key word in a contradiction is and. And saddle must be narrow to permit action. Now, the reason we got this saddle is because the design engineers could not solve this contradiction. So what they did, they made the back of the seat broader and the front of the narrow. What Ideality says, innovation, you do not compromise. You solve the problem. So what do? That's my bottom of the seat. I apply principle number 1, which is segmentation. I segment the seat in two. Then I apply principle number 15, which is dynamization. I make both the parts dynamic to each other. Right? Problem solved, contradiction solved, ideality achieved, win-win, voice of the customer. That's the voice of the customer matched by the voice of the product. I'll just use innovation principles. Okay? Sorry? Yeah, there's another one. So you see what happens is when you solve one contradiction, then there'll be another contradiction. Then you say, okay, what's the next contradiction? What's the next? Slowly like that, you come to the ideality. Right? Now, let's apply this principle of contradiction to a city, a big or a small. What does a person say when he says, it used to take me 15 minutes to get from my office, from my home to the office. Now it takes me 1 hour. What is he saying? You see, that's what this tool, the customer doesn't know what he's saying. He knows what he's saying, but the bottom line is what? So this tool helps you to abstract what the customer is saying. What the customer is saying is this: I want to get from A to B in 15 minutes when Dubai is small, and I want to get from A to B in 15 minutes when Dubai is big. That's the contradiction. Correct? That's the challenge, how you design a city to solve that contradiction. It is not about, so that's the real voice of the customer. This is it's not, and I'm not saying the voice of the customer, I'm saying the real voice of the customer, which you abstract out. The voice of the customer is that it should take me 15 minutes to get from A to B, now it's taking me 1 hour. That's the voice of the customer. But when you abstract the thing from there, that's the real voice of the customer. It is not about big or small. It is about big and small. It's not about high quality or low cost. It is about high quality and low cost and on demand. These tools bring those things out. Dynamization trend. I mean, it's not. So this is a technical trend. There are 32 trends. Okay, I'll need to go fast because You can see things go from immobile, single jointed, multi-jointed, flexible, liquid, gas. Example, so immobile, multiple wire saw, water jets, immobile, steering column, universal joints, hydraulic, drive-by-wire. Same here. Immobile, mobile, flexible, field, immobile, flexible, immobile, jointed, flexible, flexible field. Follows the same. All the products follow the same thing. Okay, the same dynamization trend. There are other trends as well. Okay, 32 trends. So I know where to innovate the product. Where the product was the next jump. Okay. What is a product? This is a product. What do? I use a product, correct? I'm using a product. I'm using a product. Okay. What is city branding? When you Dubai is branding itself, Abu Dhabi is branding itself, Doha is branding itself. What is it saying? What it's saying is, come and use my city. That's what they're saying. Come and use my streets. Come and use my roads. Come and use my airport. Come and use my leisure facility. To me, a city is a product. Right? I can apply 40 inventive principles to innovate a city. You see how I'm changing perspective, using these tools and all that, and then coming up with concepts. Right? So, yeah, there's an example. Knowingly, unknowingly, Abu Dhabi made the colored the roads by giving the speed limits. Okay? Innovation culture. Okay, key thing. How do you develop an innovation culture? How do you sustain it? How do you develop itself? As I mentioned, you've got to fire the mind. Right? That's where the passion comes from, innovation. That's the first key thing. Right? How do you do it? Structured innovation methodologies. Right? So what you have, you bring in Triz over here, so you fire the mind. When you give them training, you'll have champions coming out from the department. Those champions will go and train other people. You have silos breaking, and they said, then the whole business people and technical people are talking the same language, right? Then you come up with that's the perception mapping. Then you come up with contradiction I talked to you about, and then you embedded new tools. You bring in what we say methodology for disruptive innovation, methodology for radical innovation. You bring in design thinking, blah 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 blah, right? That's how you do it. So once you've got this thing, and so once you have this, then you have a self-sustaining innovation culture because you've given them the methodology and all that. They can think, right? That's the key. And we will see how other organizations have done it. Now, once you've got that embedded in the system, the structured methodology, right? Then you bring in idea management, okay? Linked to Triz and systematic innovation. Now you're going to get quality ideas. Now you're going to get quality comments, not like, I like your idea, good idea. No, they'll say, this is the contradiction. When you solve this contradiction, this other contradiction is going to come. So maybe you can solve both the contradiction with this idea. So now you're getting quality participation. Okay? So once you have that embedded, right, then you bring in open innovation. So once you have employees and this funnel thing, then you bring open innovation, which Hans talked about as well. Because the whole organization knows now what innovation is. They know how to evaluate ideas because they know the structured methodology and they're using it. It becomes easy. What I've seen in other organizations is they have SLAs that an idea comes, goes to that department, and that department has to evaluate that idea in X amount of days. For me, that means there's not an innovation culture there. Because if you take out the SLA, the culture goes. What does Ideality say? Self-X. So how, you got the innovation culture, what is next? Sustainability. What is next? Self-X. Self-sustaining innovation culture. So this is how you do it. European Space Agency, right? They use biotrids to help the astronauts for long space duration. They came out, identified 2,273 potential problems and gave them answers for the problems the astronauts haven't even faced yet, compared to 36 problems identified with traditional forecasting method. They applied the same thing to technical malfunction, right, where they won't have support when they're going to Mars, right, with solutions for the problems they still haven't encountered using these methodologies. China, I was in Portugal. I gave a presentation on the real voice of the customer and the real industry in the Gulf. So Mr. Tan was there giving a presentation on how China is diffusing innovation right throughout the country through systematic innovation methodology. And this organization started in 1998. They studied all the innovation methodology. And from all the innovation methodology, they said that TRIZ is a better methodology. Okay? They used brainstorming. They used Tony Bazan, mind mapping, 6 hats, and then they said, no, TRIZ is better. People using TRIZ and systematic, Samsung, 8,000 engineers trained, okay. TRIZ is obligatory skill now to be advanced in Samsung, Intel 2005, GE 2000. GE used TRIZ to fence all the GE patents since the inception of the company in 1986. So other companies cannot circumvent their patents. This is how powerful this tool is, right? P&G patent increased 5 times over the last 10 years, right? Other companies using that. Proliferation of TRIZ is going there. We've got nothing over here, right? Countries deploying. Colombia, 2014, wanted to become a high-tech. They went to South Korea to find out how exponentially South Korea has grown. Majority of the people said one of the key most approach was TRIZ by South Korean corporation. So they put in 800,000 into that. Patent application increased by 15%, 90% of the idea implemented. All right. They're putting in 600,000 for government organization and SME. Argentina seeing the success of Colombia, doing the same thing, right? Poland had a mass participation class in January 2006, just now, okay? Level 1, now they're planning for level 2. They're also having TRIZ for Polish parliament. Can you imagine how serious Poland is taking this and how serious this methodology that the Polish parliament has to take this course, right? That's leadership. So they understand what innovation is, okay? Government innovation agencies have to do it. Deans and president of Polish University and SME Power, all of them have been mandated to do this course. Okay? 2006, that's the agenda, blah, blah. Iran is using TRIZ on all major infrastructure. This is our next door neighbor. TRIZ is used in all these universities, MIT, Imperial College. TRIZ has been used over there since 1998. Bath University, same, 1996, right? China, I just mentioned about that one, etc. Okay? This is key for us, for our region here. Everybody knows that SME is the backbone of a country, okay? TRIZ tools that focus on cost reduction, which is called trimming. There's another tool over there that helps cost reduction. Walking around competitor patents, which is circumventing, which I talked about, of multinational corporations, extremely effective TRIZ methodology for SME, right? What did China do? 2013-15, 484 SMEs attended classes. More than 2,000 engineers came, 1,000 engineers filed. They filed in 1,000 patents. Okay, this is recent. This is figure I got in July 2016. Absolutely recent from Mr. Tan. All right? SME accounts for 60% of GDP, 86% of the workforce. The 3 takeaways over here, structured methodology like TRIZ and systematic enhances innovative process. I think I've made that clear. It overcomes barrier and challenge in the drive for creative change. Gives you the passion, right? And supporting SME through TRIZ needs to be top priority for UAE. China is doing it, Poland is doing it, Argentina is doing it, Colombia is doing it, right? Europe is doing it. Why aren't we? What's stopping us? Okay? So if you like my presentation, I'd appreciate if you can put a comment on my LinkedIn. That's it. Thank you.